Welcome to my belated 5,000 day world tour. In fact, it's so late, we're actually at 6,000 days now, so I guess it's not a good, I guess it's a good time to say welcome to my 6,000 day world tour of ultra hardcore Minecraft. To get started, I should announce that this tour will be done a little differently to some you may have seen previously, where I'll actually be starting from the current most point in this world, and we'll be taking a trip down memory lane together, rewinding the clock and ending the tour where it all began, at the spawn of the world. Alright, well, first things first, this is Pioneer Peaks, our build for April 2023. We're currently only a couple of days into this build, so about 7 or 8 hours into this build, kind of still in that stage where we're marking things out using netherrack. I like to use netherrack to mark my builds out where I can. It's a nice insta-mineable block, and it kind of stands out. So all the netherrack that you see will end up going, as it just, yeah, it kind of helps me just kind of mark the lines out, the lay of the land, if you will, get things all ready and sorted, and it gets that vision. You know, I've got a vision in my head when I build these types of builds, so not a huge amount to show here right now. Let's move to our first stop, and that's going to be Commemorative Caverns. I like to travel above the nether roof as it makes for easier travel between longer destinations. As you can see, I do like to decorate my nether portals. They're themed to each build. I'll be showing you each portal as we come across each build during the tour. And here we are at Commemorative Caverns, which some of you guys may know as the Shrine Hall. I kind of commonly refer to it as Shrine Hall. Commemorative Caverns is an Egyptian-themed build which currently holds a ton of user-redeemed shrines. Shrines are a pretty simple system. You accumulate channel points by interacting hourly in stream, and those points to redeem upgrades and develop your shrine further. I'll show you guys a completed, or actually a couple of completed shrines. This is actually Moderator Jordan and Justin's completed shrines. For example, you can see they're fully upgraded and looking absolutely amazing. Viewers can choose almost any block to stand on and hold in their shrine, and this can create a super unique look when complete. So I guess the further you go down this hall, you see some people that have kind of maybe only just joined us or only just redeemed their shrine for the first time. So we've got 2 levels in Commemorative Caverns, A through to M on floor 1. So you see those hallways there. They're a 5x5 hallway. So that's floor 1, A through to M. And we've got N through to Z on floor 2. So each of those hallways are kind of above that as well. As I said, this is a fairly recent build. I think we built this in March. So we are still tying up some finishing touches like the gold blocks for the lettering and stuff like that. Quite demanding to put gold blocks on all the lettering, but it's going to look good, so it's worth it, you know. This place has taken about 3 or 4 weeks to design and build. I had to be super conscious of the layout, obviously, as not to limit the shrine numbers in the future. Shrines will forever be able to redeemed as long as this world is alive, and we actually set aside 1 day a week to shrines and upgrades, and we call that Shrine Sundays. So on Shrine Sundays, we come through here and basically upgrade everyone's shrines. The viewers can choose a little armor stand pose that they can redeem in their shrine, and they have a lot of fun with that. Everyone is pretty happy with the way the system works. It's a super cool build, and it's actually underneath our first ever base in this world, but we won't show you that just yet because it's time to visit the heart of the world. Something that I'm looking at doing later on in this world is linking the nether portals by a grid of colored carpets on the roof. Basically a colored highway so I could never get lost when traveling. I've seen ice boat highways made lots before, and understandably so, because they're a very fast travel method. But they're kind of labor intensive to make in order to ensure that they are both spawn proof and to prevent falling off when traveling. Piston bolt redstone has been excluded for the same reason as well. It's pretty labor intensive to get them running, and you know, we travel at times. We travel quite a few thousand blocks in the Nether to get to each destination. So you know, it's quite a lot to build. You know, maybe on a server of a sort, or if we were regularly traveling back and forth with a lot of materials, we would consider doing something like that. But for now, we just kind of fly from point A to point B. So here we are at the heart of the world, and this is actually a natural cave that we found. I've heard the term heart of the world used in other worlds before, so I thought I would go one step further and actually create the heart of the world in a physical form. This heart is made mostly of copper and terracotta. In the floor leading out of the nether portals for most of my completed builds, I have mimicked this same heartbeat that you see through the top here to allow for a little bit of lore or depth to the world. We also have an item sorter, which is made of this little shulker box unloader on the front end here. And as items go through the item sorter, they are packed back into shulker boxes and stored in the barrels in the front for easy picking. It's a really cool system that we kind of designed ourselves, and I don't know, I kind of like it. It's a pretty simple little setup. Basically, it's just a little item sorter that takes items out and then loads them into a little compact shulker loader that we've got down below there. Yeah, and it does pretty well. I mean, it does what we want from it, and for the most part, I use it to process my bulk items. Anything that I've got lots of, I'll probably put that back wrong. Netherrack, diorite, tough, deep slate, that sort of stuff. We process that through here. This is only just recently been set up. We're probably going to have, what do we got? Honeycomb, a lot of honeycomb, and stuff like that as well. It's kind of only recently been set up, so it's still filling its initial shulker boxes, but it's a really cool build. Yeah, and it kind of, I don't know, it's kind of different. I mean, you don't really see them like this too often. The little guy on top is called Boop. I'll tell you about Boop really quick. Let me just get a zoom in on him. This little guy is called Boop, and it's an ally. If you guys haven't seen allies, they were recently introduced. And he actually catches the empty shulker boxes on the way through, as shulker boxes cannot be item sorted, so we have to use an ally for this process. The shulker boxes that Boop catches drop down into the loading system through here. So they drop down through the loading system like that. So it's pretty much a closed loop system, and this whole system contains almost 1,000 shulker boxes in just the item sorter portions alone. So just through here, you'll see almost 1,000 shulker boxes. They're all empty. They're yet to be kind of filled up. But yeah, obviously I do have a shulker farm, which I'll show you guys later on in the tour as well, to give us these shulker boxes. The leftover items currently spill into double chests, but they will be connected into a system. So this is a double chest that they're kind of just spilling into right now. But they will be connected into a system that brings them over to this little guy over here. This is our multi-item sorter. This has got the ability to sort and store multiple items in each chest. It's a pretty compact system. We've only just got this multi-sorter built. So you'll notice I do have overflow here. And then basically we just take the overflow items, find the appropriate chests, like say random rares for example, and we put that in there, and now that will always sort out gold ingots. So we only have to do that once for each item along the line. Cooked cod for example, we go to food stuff and we put it in there, and now cooked cod will always go to that spot. So that's a really cool way to do it, and then eventually you can just kind of cut down on your overflow Any items in here that are unstackable, I'm planning to have reprocessed through. We've actually got the allays here for a little allay sorter to take out anything like enchanted books or anything of kind of high value that cannot stack. Lower value stuff like gold swords and random bits and pieces, you know, kind of junky stuff, will go through into a trash system that will require like manual approval that there's nothing important there, and then we can kind of dump that at the end. So that's this. What you see here is the rest of my items from this world. We kind of brought them over here. We've still got a fair bit to bring over from our last base, which is actually coming up in the tour as well. I flooded the floor to prevent slime spawning, and I mossed the cave around to give it a little bit of a natural feel as well. We do have a chunk loader, which you'll actually see above there in this area, and both the item sorter and the multi-item sorter are actually contained within the 3x3 chunk borders, so that we can actually sort items wherever we are in the world at any given time. Ideally, the chunk loader should be connected to this sorter so that it can turn off whenever the sorter is off. But you know, 100 things to do, and well, you get the idea, right? You know, we never have the time to do it all. The heart of the world is strategically placed outside of those loaded chunks as well. So the loaded chunks wall ends right here, and the heart of the world is outside that, so we don't tick that in when we are chunk loading. I need to grab some food. We don't tick that in when we are chunk loading, which is, I guess, kind of good for us as well. I like to use bread in case you haven't heard, or if you don't know. I use bread as food purely for the memes, because this is ultra hardcore. And in ultra hardcore, when you take damage, your hunger doesn't naturally regenerate your health. So it actually really doesn't matter what you eat in ultra hardcore. You really don't even go through that much food, because most of your saturation in normal gameplay is used like healing yourself up. So because that doesn't happen in ultra hardcore, we've got to use health potions or beacons nearby. Then our saturation stays pretty full for quite a long time. While we fly to the next location, I'll speak a little bit more about totems in this world, because speaking of totems and totem popping, I probably want to chat to you guys about totems and how we get them and that sort of stuff in this world as well. Basically, the totems I use in this world are harvested from woodland mansions only, with no raid farms or stacking raid farms to produce bulk totems. I'm currently holding totem number 10, and my average is about 1 totem every couple of 100 hours or so. Took me about 4 days solid of flying around without chunk base or any seed help to locate my first ever double witch hut. On that topic, the seed will be revealed only when I lose this world. It was a random assortment of numbers thrown into chat on February the 10th when I started this world, and I added 2 of my own numbers to the end, and we just ran whatever world that created at the time. So chat basically threw in a bunch of numbers, and I added a couple of numbers on the end, and we just ran it, and it was all pretty cool. All right, so this is actually our double witch hut perimeter. They are exactly, I think, 10 chunks apart, 8 chunks apart, something like that. They're exactly 8 chunks apart, which puts them both in mob spawn distance at the same time. And then we've got a center platform, which you can see over there, made entirely of glass, where we go and stand and collect the witches that are spawning in these witch hut farms. So that's pretty cool as well. I've added this copper farm fairly recently for another source of EXP in the world. A ton of floating blocks, which occurred because I used the classic TNT flying machines, which you'll see kind of parked up over there. They're actually still active, which is, as you can hear when we get close. Right now, we've got a couple of 100 drowned in this chamber. And really easily, we basically stand right here. And as we swipe at the armor stand, the reinforcement zombies will actually spawn in. They don't despawn because they're all holding items. And after 5 or 10 minutes, we can expect 1,000 or 2,000 zombies here. And they kind of walk into that chamber and convert into drowned. And if you don't know, Drowns drop copper. So this is actually our copper farm. So underneath we've got an item sorter. And that just pulls out just the copper. I don't really want anything else from this. I've got a couple of bays there just in case, you know, the front hopper gets full or has a cooldown. But it pulls out quite a handsome amount of copper, which is pretty good for most of the things we need in this world. So that does pretty well, and then everything else is just burned in the lava. This zombie was found during the building process. He's actually a zombie in full diamond armor, which is pretty cool. These guys don't spawn in very often at all. Trying to get under there. There we go. They don't spawn in very often at all. So when you do find them, try and name tag them and keep them in your world, because it's you know, pretty special moment. To find him kind of just waltzing through. We just broke the glass and had him everywhere. I'll throw up some screenshots for you guys on the farm with 400 or 500 zombies around here. It looks absolutely crazy. I actually installed an EXP plugin that doesn't do anything in regards, it doesn't give us more EXP, but this farm in particular actually drops more EXP for us than what the player can pick up, like per second per se. So I actually installed a plugin that combines the EXP orbs into larger orbs, so the player is able to pick up all the EXP that the farm produces. I think it's a pretty it's not really a game-breaking plugin, because, you know, if I'm producing the EXP, I should be able to pick it up. Because otherwise, basically every 5 minutes you get EXP despawning, and yeah, you lose out on you know, some good EXP. So rather than lose out on the EXP, all the smaller orbs turn into larger orbs. Yeah, like they combine into larger orbs, and they're picked up by me from there, and heal up all my armor and bits and pieces. So the double witch hut farm is why we originally built this. So we found 2 witch huts within a spawning perimeter of each other. If you have a look, you'll see the witches in there with the zoglins as well. The zoglins push the witches off the edge and down below. I can explain a little bit further on how that actually works in a minute. But yeah, the double witch hut farm was actually nerfed recently because the zoglins no longer really push these witches off at the faster rate anymore. So we have talked about building sweeping flying machines here instead to improve the rates again. Basically how this works is yeah, they fall down into water with magma blocks underneath it. The magma blocks actually cause a reaction with the witches to consume a fire resistance potion, and once they go through and touch that portal, they're transported into the Nether component, which is actually a lava portal, or a lava flow. It takes them up vertically and works on their cooldown time. I'll show you guys that when we are leaving. Something that is also out here is the location of a really large fossil that I found. We were doing some wither fighting, and actually right here I revealed a bone of the fossil. The fossil's since been moved, and the location for that is actually our next stop on the tour, which is Atlantis. Entering the Nether, you can see the last few witches. If I turn on hitboxes here, the last few witches floating up through the lava. This contraption is pretty special, one that I haven't really seen made before. Basically, it just pushes the witches into the lava, and as most entities do, they float upwards and into the top portal, which gives them the 15-second cooldown time that entities need out of one portal before they can go back into a portal. So that's why we get them taking fire resistance potions in the overworld. They don't just die as soon as they're thrown into the lava. Probably not the best efficiency wise, but you know, it does the job, and yeah, pretty happy, pretty proud of that. While we fly over to Atlantis, it's probably a good time to mention that I don't AFK in this world. I don't AFK in this world at all. So I don't spend any time, you know, I don't leave the world up overnight. And until super recently, I don't actually play in the world offline at all. Until basically the last maybe even couple of weeks. Most of my offline players of a couple of weeks ago is just getting shrines ready, or, you know, restoring, like making some rockets, getting a pair of wings ready, you know, maybe healing my tools if I can, just so that when I'm online and on stream, I don't do those mundane tasks all the time. This is Atlantis. As you can see, we've decorated the portal pretty nicely. This is a boat from a dolphin that swam through the portal, and we tried to rescue it, but it didn't get into the boat and lost the dolphin. So we made a sign of me yelling at the dolphin, get in the boat, but it didn't. So his loss. Let's go through to Atlantis. The main feature of Atlantis is our large watching eye, which you can see right at the top there. It kind of follows you wherever you go, which is pretty cool effect with slime and perspective and froglights behind there as well. It does pretty cool. The closer you go up to it, it kind of looks like it's looking down on you, and then when you go up to the top, it kind of looks like it's looking up at you as well. So this underwater museum I built mostly during my 24-hour stream in October last year. Conduits out the front to give us night vision and respiration effects, which is fantastic. But the main attraction of Atlantis is our fossil. So we moved this fossil by taking a bunch of screenshots and images from where it was that I just showed you at the Witch Hut perimeter. And yeah, we moved it out here. The chains were diamond, deep sea diamonds, and we just replaced them with chains, probably as you would in a museum. You'd see that with chains kind of in the area instead of the bones. Rather than rebuild it completely, I thought it'd be a good idea to kind of build it how we found it, with the bones missing that were missing when we found it as well. So for those that may have heard recently of the Sniffer fossil theory, that was actually my most viral video that I posted just before the 2022 mob vote, stating that the pixels on this fossil actually lined up with the pre-released images of the Sniffers pixels, which they mentioned the release version was a smaller version of a previous ancestor in the game. So I kind of put out the theory that the previous ancestor was this one, being, you know, a much larger variant of what we now know as the Sniffer. Because these fossils, you can find them in the game naturally, which is super intriguing to a little bit of Minecraft lore. Yeah, potentially being this size, just this huge thing. We've also got mementos around the walls that have particular timestamps of this world where I could get them. So some of them don't have timestamps there, and the reason why is because the timestamp plugin was made at around 230 hours in game. Our mementos basically start from here. I might make a video about all of these mementos and what they are and all the moments that they kind of represent throughout the world, I guess, because so many moments, and I'm sure I've got them all clipped or on a video somewhere. Really easy to find because I've got that world age that you'll see at the bottom of my screen there. The world age there, it kind of makes these moments really, really cool to go back and find super easy, because I can just go back until that clock lines up. So that's a super cool system. It stops when I pause the world, or whenever I have a menu open, it stops. It doesn't keep tracking. So it's a really, really cool little in-game plugin there that I had specifically made. So I don't have to put, on-screen timers and get it wrong and all that sort of stuff as well. So I've actually got more below Atlantis to share, and this is the beginning of our mob museum. The reason why we started collecting mobs so randomly was October the 31st, which was Halloween. Mobs in Java Edition have a small chance to spawn in with a jack-o'-lantern head on them. So chat and I spent a huge portion of the streams around that time collecting these mobs, as they only spawn in once per year. So that kind of makes them pretty rare. We did try and get the variants of mobs like left-handed, right-handed, trident wielding. There's a trident wielding drowned, a normal drowned, a baby drowned, right-handed with a skeleton, and a left-handed with a skeleton. A right-handed skeleton, which is kind of, you know, normal, 95% chance to spawn in with a bow in their right hand. And yeah, 5% chance to spawn with a left-handed bow, but unfortunately we lost Lefty because I may or may not have forgotten to put water in the bottom of the tunnel when we transported him through. That was pretty sad actually, because Halloween was over and didn't have any more chances to get another one, so we just kind of had to wear it. Next year, well, this year, I hope that the world's still going and we can get a left-handed skeleton then. Alrighty, next on the list is going to be Memory Meadows. I think it's a pretty good time to introduce Memory Meadows to you all. So this is the portal for Memory Meadows. Memory Meadows is a rolling hilltop somewhat near spawn that I decided to place a crafting table and a lantern for every hour in this world. Basically, they're placed in rows of 50. So that is hour 1 to 50 is right down there. And then we kind of go from there. Memory Meadows, it's a pretty interesting little place. I don't know how long I'll keep going with this for. Like, I think I'll just keep going for as long as I have this world. Crafting tables and lanterns are pretty cheap, so, you know, I'm not really fussed about the cost of it. And I'm pretty interested to see how long it kind of, you know, just keeps going over the land for. It should be pretty interesting to see how far we can go with that. Not really sure why I decided on crafting tables and lanterns. Nighttime, it looks really nice and it's pretty cheap and easy way to visualize the hours spent in the world at any given time. Because the next location is going to be past the gold farm, I think we can come back now and show you guys the gold farm. So this is our gold farm. It's a pretty basic setup, nothing too crazy. But yeah, pretty basic setup. It works on aggression tactics and gives us a pretty cool amount of EXP and a decent rate of gold as well, as long as I hold my looting sword in my hand. You see them all kind of running off there and falling down the full chamber into the bottom. A hopper minecart picks up all of the loot and drops it into this little chamber here. We've got a couple of hopper minecarts in the gravel here, and that pulls the items out pretty quickly. This unloads and sends the cart off pretty much instantly. I think it's 2 seconds or 1 second turnaround time. And all of the items, which you'll see in a moment, so that's how quickly it unloads, actually very, very quickly. All of the items go through into these hoppers and into these droppers and actually get shot into the overworld. And I can show you that portion of the build now. Alrighty, so here we go. This is our collection chamber or collection point. You can see the gold falling through the webs from there. You can throw an item into the portal and that'll actually kickstart the nether side of it. Kind of, you know, that's kind of how chunk loaders work, where you throw an item through and then the other dimension is loaded for 15 seconds. The cobweb is there to bundle the items up to make sure that we're picking up full stacks if possible in our hoppers down below as well. So I'm going to show you guys our previous base before the heart of the world. And that's actually Neon Hollows. Well known for using a lot of rockets in Minecraft. I only use the flight duration 1 rockets because it's the best for gunpowder and paper. 123,000 rockets used, which is actually phenomenal. This is a cyber futuristic themed ancient city. This was our first city found when 1.19 dropped, and we turned it into our main base pretty quickly as a statement to the Warden's defeat and our courage in Minecraft. So we've got some, basically it was built to be like a little plaza or a little shopping district. You can see the heartbeat of the world. So it's kind of where that lore ties in from the heartbeat that I was showing you guys earlier. Doug is just a little, I think it stands for something, an acronym down under something. There was a name for it. I'm sure it's probably in here somewhere. 21 is a pretty frequent number in this stream. We have actually a button 21 that we refer to pretty often. It's 21. That's my daughter saying 21 in a funny voice. I don't know. So yeah, 21 is kind of the number. Like if someone says, you know, how many times have you done this? I just say 21. This is our sushi shop. I try and keep things pretty much PG in my streams. I don't really swear or anything like that. Yeah, one of the letters on the sushi shop is I'm gonna have to change that. It kind of goes out every so often. So this is Finlay the Second. Don't ask about Finlay the First. He died. But well, there you go. I told you anyway. Nothing spawns in ancient cities, so we had to bring him down here. It was a real mission to bring a squid down into an ancient city. It sounds easy to do, but it really was not easy to do. It took me hours to do that. Gas garage. Basically, we've got some little scooters in here. It actually is home to Poopy Kevin. Poopy Kevin wearing poopy pants. Poopy Kevin was a guy that came in one time. I think it was while I was building it. And he just came into chat and just told me where to go. And I thought it was so rude that I thought we'd get a little bit of a laugh out of it. And yeah, so I immortalized Poopy Kevin wearing poopy pants by doing that. Poopy Kevin did get the boot from the stream. Cogs Mechanical is run by Mr. Cogs, or Mr. Cog. Mr. Cog, that's his name. Mr. Cog, he's kind of just watching the production line at the moment as they make a somewhat of a machine with a beacon for a heart there, which is pretty cool. The other store is called the Back Alley. This is our nightclub, I guess. The Back Alley, I've put some glass on the front so the alleys, we're actually eventually going to stock that full of alleys. No Zuchiis allowed. You know, that's a Simpsons reference with the no homers allowed, but you know, like one homer can go in. Anyway, DJ your puppy, basically my donation filter takes out any bad words and replaces them with nice words. Spinning around, I don't know why your puppy's doing that. Takes out bad words and replaces them with nice words. Our initial alleys we had when we were naming them, I asked chat, I said, what planets do you want to name them? And I think it was Dora Shirley actually named your puppy because she said she wanted to name one Uranus, as in the planet. And when she donated that through, it replaced the last 4 letters with puppy, and so we named it your puppy because that's pretty funny. This is our internet cafe. With armor stands. These are actually armor stands and helmets. A little internet cafe with a little mouse and a keyboard, which is also another armor stand with an iron helmet, and the armor stand is facing that way with a concrete block pushed into it. This is the lab. So the lab is another kind of, I guess, futuristic build in our little plaza here. We actually got a creeper. It is not a charged creeper. Chat wants me to replace that with a charged creeper at some point in my world, which I would probably like to do, but it's pretty deadly playing around with charged creepers. So the upside down creeper is basically what powers this area. If you look, it's got the core and then the lines going out of that, and you'll see those lines kind of in a couple of places around this area. So we've got the aqua store. My background is in aquatic fish keeping, so I kind of had to build a an aqua store to reference that. Aquatic fish keeping and corals and coral fragging and stuff like that as well. Just with a bunch of tropical fish and bits and pieces. I don't know, it kind of looks pretty cool. Kind of fit the idea, and we built a fish on the front for the sign. If you know anything about, I guess, Harry Potter, it kind of references to Gringotts, the bank. So we can go with ingots there, and then from there we've got the vault, and the vault is actually using the reinforced deep slate that you'll see in ancient cities. Reinforced deep slate and you know, because we cannot move those blocks, we just kind of repurpose them by putting a vault there. That actually used to be the entrance to underneath here, which I'll show you in a moment. And currently we've just got the dragon egg sitting there. That's not going to be the long-term home for the dragon egg, but you know, it's good enough for now, sitting in the vault, kind of just sitting there looking pretty. This was our previous base for quite some time. So these walls were all chests, and we had chests everywhere. You'll see some still left there. Chests everywhere on the walls, and we've just been packing the shulker boxes up and moving those over. So we've still got some random bits and pieces to move over still. But yeah, that's actually used to be the vault. This door used to be closed, and we would have to fly through the vault and then come down through these stairs. And I've got a hidden enchanting room, which apparently a lot of people didn't know. When the chests were there, you couldn't see any of this contraption. But a hidden enchanting room, apparently a lot of people didn't know I even had, which I would only use probably once every, I don't know, once a month or something, where we'd just do some random enchanting. In fact, it's actually still the location where I do enchanting, because I don't have an enchanting build to replace that yet that I'd like to do. Froglight Farm just around the corner. So this is our Froglight Farm. This farm works really, really well. I didn't actually think it would work this well, but it's in a basalt delta biome. For those that were wondering, I recently got Freecam Mod, and that allows me to show the viewers these farms running. Because for a lot of time, I knew how the farms looked when they were running, but it's really hard to show people how farms run. So yeah, I've got the Freecam Mod to allow me to do that. The player stands up there. I cannot clip through blocks. I've turned that all off, so I cannot go through stuff, and I cannot interact with stuff with the cam. So it doesn't allow me to see through the floor or anything, but it just allows me to show you guys what's happening at any given time. So the magma slimes will go towards the iron golems. They won't be able to get them because obviously the cage is there as well. Iron golems do hit some of the magma slimes, so that'll actually break them down, but for those that don't get broken down straight away, they'll fall into the snow, and all the baby slimes will sit in the bottom here. 20,000 drops per hour, which most of those are froglights. So we estimate about 6,000 or what's that, 100 stacks of each froglight per hour if we stand there, which, as I mentioned before, we don't do any AFKing, so pretty much just, you know, 5 minutes there and we're pretty much done. You know, like the time we spent just there just now, we've already getting stacks and stacks and stacks of froglights, so pretty cool. More froglights than we could ever need in this world. Anyway, the next stop on the tour is our mob switch. Yes, I do have a mob switch. We don't use this all the time. We only really use this for cave exploring, and it only affects the overworld, and it turns itself off every time you exit the world. So every time I want to run the mob switch, I have to come in here and actually be in the same area as these mobs, which, you know, sound horrible, but, you know, whatever, it is what it is. But this is an active mob switch. It contains over 100 silverfish, which you can see the silverfish spawner there and the end portal frame behind it. It just washes them all over, and then they climb the scaffolding. And pretty much to get this running, you go through the overworld, load in the mobs, go back into the nether, and then within 15 seconds you want to put an item through that, and it'll chuck it through the portal, and then you'll actually get it delivered back through. You see that? Delivered back through. And it kind of recycles that between the overworld and the nether. But I don't like to do it too often because it is a bit weird feeling, you know, in ultra hardcore to have, you know, no mobs around. It's kind of a bit much, but pretty cool to build nonetheless. And yeah, pretty eye-opening as to how, like, kind of how easy that was to build. So it's pretty easy to build. District 21 is where we have pretty much all of our farms that I need in the world. This was my first perimeter. And actually my first real main base in the world, like real main base, and I'll show you guys that in just a second. Yeah, welcome to District 21. Obviously, always a work in progress. We've got so much going on here, which is absolutely phenomenal. We are in the middle of an ocean. I found a mycelium island, or the mushroom island. We lived in the tree stump. We built a tree stump and lived in that for, I'm going to say like 3 or 4 or 5, 600 hours. This purple door was actually our old nether portal to go in and out of the nether. The copper for this door was waxed to prevent future aging at 372 hours in game. The reason why we done that at 372 hours is because that was my previous ultra hardcore record. And I kind of wanted to have a reference to that in this world as well. So, but yeah, I used to live inside this stump. You can actually see I've got a little shulker in here called Shulker Shane. Shulker Shane was obtained very legitimately, actually. We went into the end, which I'll show you the end build next. We went into the end and got a shulker. He was the first shulker that we ever got, I think. From the end, and brought him back. Shulker Shane. I wonder if we can see his name tag. Maybe not. Shulker Shane teleported there, and we just kind of left him there. When we were at our base, he wouldn't see us because he's kind of just too far away. And we used to have like just chests absolutely everywhere in here. A cobblestone generator. This is a cobblestone generator. It's 250,000 cobblestone per hour. Basically, it's a TNT fed. It doesn't have a TNT duper on it. We feed the TNT in manually. We create the TNT. Yeah, and then we get 250,000 cobblestone an hour, which sounds fantastic, but then you kind of have the problem of smelting 250,000 cobblestone per hour. And this is in true form. This is kind of how my content runs. We made this to get a lot of cobblestone. I need to smelt all of this cobblestone for stone, right? And or smooth stone. So then you see we've got this thing here, and this is called Moss Boss. 8 moss farms all joined together. 64 furnace array, a large composter machine. 4 module bamboo farm produces 85,000 bamboo an hour. We'll see if we've got a stack of something to cook, most likely. Oh yeah, here we go. A pretty cool little setup. We've got a dispenser full of chest minecart, so we can fill this up 4 stacks, and then once we're done, once we've filled up all the stuff that we want to smelt, we send this off just like this. And what you'll actually notice is the chest cart will fall down, and it'll come out through this kind of wire that I've got out here, and it'll go all the way over, up, and start feeding the furnaces. And those furnaces should already have fuel in them, so that'll smell that pretty quickly. And I've got a little checker system here. Basically, if there's stuff still left in this furnace, in this chest, it'll loop it around. When there's nothing left in there, it'll send it back home, right? So that should loop around 4 times to do 4 stacks, and then it'll send it back to where we are. Yeah, you can see we're getting a pretty fast amount of items, which is actually pretty cool. Turning Moss Boss on as well, which is going to be that one. You can see we get quite a lot of moss coming down. I'll turn the hitboxes on so you can see it all. Heaps of moss coming down. That's just one out of 8 modules running. Chat called that Moss Boss somewhere along the lines. When they're all running, it's like I get like 10 frames a second. So yeah, it's really crazy. Okay, so that's District 21, pretty much all done and dusted. So we head out to our end build. Let's head out to do that. This is our end build called the Mind Flayer. I really wanted to do an end build in this world, and I took pretty good inspiration from Stranger Things at the time. We were watching the series Stranger Things, and so without further ado, I present to you guys the Mind Flayer. This is 35,000 black terracotta that we mined and dyed and placed, and it's actually the Mind Flayer from Stranger Things, if you've seen that, and it's actually overlooking Victor Creel's house as well. Victor Creel's house from the series Stranger Things, which I'll go up and show you a bit closer. Victor Creel's mansion, it is called, actually. We just have like a little walkway going up to it, but you don't really notice the caliber of it until you get underneath it, and that's what it's portrayed as in the series. It's portrayed as, you know, just this huge overreaching character. I've never really built organic before, so, you know, this is pretty new for me. We had to remove one of the obsidian pillars at the front here, just so we can walk up to the front of it. I did plan on removing all the other obsidian pillars, but when I removed the front one and saw how long that took, I just abandoned that idea and left all the other ones. Killed the dragon 21 times before we built this, so that we have all of these end gate portals already loaded in. I tried to copy Victor Creel's mansion to a T. We got as many pictures as we could, real estate pictures and listings and stuff like that, and I tried to copy it as much as I could, so hopefully you enjoy that. A couple of key points to show you guys in the Nether. The first stop is going to be our Wither farm. So these dispensers, you preload those with the skeleton heads. We ran this one time for 10 minutes and we had enough beacons, enough nether stars. I think we end up getting 140 nether stars in 10 minutes. Next spot on the list is going to be Aurora Spires. Oh my gosh. So we haven't even gone to Aurora Spires yet. Aurora Spires was our first big build in this world. The Aurora Spire is probably one of the furthest builds away out of everything. Alrighty, so this is the portal for Aurora Spires. Basically, you get a hint at what the build is before we go through it. Stone, lush cave, mangrove, bit of ice there. Have a picture in your head of what you think it's going to look like, and then times it by 100. So Aurora Spires was built atop a mountaintop, and we found this mountaintop fairly early on in this world when I was exploring with my wings. We built this build at around 360 hours in game, so that's where we're getting back to those first few months now of gameplay. So it's a big bridge with the heartbeat of the worlds going through it. Mangrove trees actually came out pretty much just as we were finishing this build up, so I decided to use those to decorate, and it worked so well. They just, the way that it kind of blended in with the mountains, I was really happy with that as well. These are my first ever gradients that I tried to do with copper. I'm not great at gradients. I kind of struggle with gradients at times, kind of like these weird, you know, sort of color blending schemes. This is the main front of it here. And as we go through, it was originally built, which is funny enough, originally built to be our base in this world. And it would have made a really, really good base. This was a mountain, we hollowed it all out. But then I found a little character called Spirit Fox, a little winter wolf that basically ran up to us one day, and I couldn't ignore it. I had to do something about it. So Spirit Fox is is kind of like the backbone of this world, I guess you could say. Spirit Fox has a trident of positivity, good vibes, and kindness. And whenever we need to make a decision in this world, we give Spirit Fox 2 papers, or as many papers as we need, and we press a button. Whatever paper comes out is the decision that's made. Recently, that was the decision of Pioneer Peaks that we're currently building. It was potentially going to be called Founders Falls, but Spirit Fox said, no, I want it to be called Pioneer Peaks, because that's the paper that came out. So very, very cool. We've also got a Book of Wisdom. Anytime we get like someone have a really cool saying or anything like that in chat, we kind of just stop what we're doing and come out here and put that in. I don't know, all saying it kind of means something at some point. We dabbled on actually creating this into a real book at some level in the future. I don't really know. I'd be down for it. I think it'd be really, really cool to put all of these sayings on a poster or something. Super cool. Aurora Spires, the Hanging Gardens, and the Ice Mountain. But there's also a little bit of an Easter egg with this build as well, which a lot of people don't probably know about, and that is that it's actually built above a lush cave that we found in this mountain. You can go underneath through the sewer system, and this cave just goes forever. So if you ever wanted to come down here and get some clay or any, you know, any moss or like anything, I don't know, anything like that, you could come down here. We recently came down here and done some axolotl gathering, I guess you could say, looking for the elusive blue axolotl. We still don't have one in this world, but maybe one day. So when we came over and I showed you guys commemorative caverns, Casa De Caca is actually above commemorative caverns, which is nothing but a small little acacia village. We built this house, and the reason why it's called Casa De Caca is House of Poop is basically because it is probably one of the ugliest houses that you have ever seen. I built that probably in the first, I'm gonna say first day or two. Baby zombies would just run in, and it was just, you know, like, you know when you just do some things that you just shake your head later on, you're like, what was I thinking? You know, the roof doesn't even close in, and it's short here, and different color blocks. But I think that's what makes the theme of Casa De Caca, you know, the fact that it's just so crappily built. It's almost hilarious, you know what I mean? So Casa De Caca and the village surrounding, really, just a really cool little area. I actually don't have a villager trading hall. Villager trading is something that I don't dabble in on a huge level. The only villager trading I have is in the shack, and the shack consists of 4 Fletchers that I trade tripwire hooks with, and they give me emeralds, and everything is happy, you know. 4 of those guys, and we've got Noel's Dungeon out here, stream moderator Noel, kind of a little Easter egg again. Noel's Dungeon with his days inside counter, and we just trade with this guy for mending. That's pretty much it. We don't really get anything else off him. We could probably get some glass. I didn't even know that I had that, and name tags and stuff, but we just use him for mending and books, for mostly for actually the shrines now, as people upgrade their gear to enchanted netherite. They all the enchants are actually mending. So anytime you see an enchanted shrine, all the enchantments on these things are all just mending enchantment. I don't run them through a full table or anything like that, because it would just be too expensive for me. But yeah, just mending on their armor sets, and looks pretty cool. Early on in our journey, I looked back on the footage in the first hour, because I've got the first hour like hard recorded. I don't record all of my footage, but I do have the first hour because I thought that was pretty important to record. Early on in our footage, I look back, and this is actually the first tree that we punched. So we punched the tree, made some planks, and for some reason I put in a dirt block and then one of the planks. I don't know why, but you know, that's what we done. So recently I came back, and we time-stamped that with the sign that I put down recently. 17 minutes and 43 seconds into this world, which is actually really early on. But yeah, ran into these tunnels, and we made a bunch of torches. These are the original torches that I placed down. I mined out a coal vein here, and we put down a furnace. My first furnace and my first crafting table, I believe, was right here. So I do actually, I have thought about actually turning this into somewhat of an archeological dig site, maybe later on, where we actually kind of, you know, like present it like a, you know what I mean, like we've unearthed the roots of this world. I think that'd be really cool to kind of do. But recently, when we were coming back and doing this, we actually also found this cool little zombie. So this little zombie is probably one of the earliest entities that we have in this world. The reason why this zombie is so special is because when we did come back to do that tree and then we found this tunnel system and stuff like that, there was a zombie running around with a rotten flesh. Zombies don't spawn in naturally with rotten flesh. That doesn't happen naturally. When a zombie or any mob picks up an item, it doesn't despawn. So a really cool thing is this is actually the first known entity in this world. Apart from me, the first known entity that we basically, the earliest ancestor that we could find, he would be anywhere from about 18 to 25 minutes old. Coming from that tree at 17 minutes. Yeah, be anywhere from 18 to 25 minutes old. So absolutely crazy when we're at 1,474 hours now. To think that zombie has been there for the last 1,474 hours and 20 minutes. So somewhere along the line, chat does want me to do like a pathway in the ground of where I ran from spawn. I would love to do that. I think that'd be really, really cool to do like a pathway that I initially ran. Which, funnily enough, I ran past trees. I ran past trees to get to that tree, but, you know, whatever. So, yeah, that's the first tree. And from there, this is actually spawn right here. And the reason why this area looks like this, literally here. The reason why this area looks like this is because I cleared it out for our shulker. We brought our shulker back through the end, and when you push a shulker through the end fountain, they appear at spawn. So we had to collect it from there and use a rail system. It was a long process, and I never want to do it again. And transport it 5,000 blocks in the overworld to our now location. I try and keep everything out of my spawn chunks. I try not to have anything built in spawn chunks, because spawn chunks are loaded everywhere in the world, no matter where you are, and I don't want to have villages, pillages, or, you know, iron farms that are here. Although that would run very, very effectively, I don't want to have them kind of just running in the background all the time and have to pay the toll of lag that I cannot turn off. You know what I mean? So it's running all the time. That's pretty much it. That's the world tour. All in all, chat, thank you very much for watching. Here's hoping that this year I can deliver a 10,000 day world tour with a lot more completed builds and some pretty cool finished farms as well. A big thanks to those specifically that have moved over to YouTube recently as well. I made the decision in March to come and stream on YouTube full time, and it's been nothing short of amazing. We've met some huge creators in this space already. Very, very large opportunities already, which you guys will find out about shortly, and heaps of new subscribers already too, which is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all for watching my 6,000 day ultra hardcore world tour. Be kind to one another. My name is Zuchii, that Australian Minecrafter, right here on YouTube Gaming.